YouTube, how you doing? Raj from the UK. I'm back with the fragrance review tonight from one of my favourite houses actually, Penhaligon's. They're a British brand, and today I'm going to be talking about their eau de toilette called Sartorial. It's one of their more recent fragrances they've come out with, and is produced by Bertrand Duchefort. He's the perfumer behind this, and he's also done a few fragrances. He's done a few fragrances for Penhaligon's and also with L'Artisan Parfumeur. I really like his creations, and I think I want to try a few more from him. So let's kind of get into the packaging. This is the box here. This is the 50 ml version, and you'll notice here from the top you've got these two symbols here saying that these are, I don't know what the best way to say it, but sort of authorized suppliers to the royal family, or this basically says that Penhaligon's have been supplying fragrances to the royal family for a long period of time. It's basically a royal warrant. You'll notice here this needle here and this yellow sort of thread spiraling around the box, finally ending in the sewing machine here. And I'll touch a little bit more on that later on. The box opens up like so, and inside you have this little card. It's kind of quirky, Penhaligon's do have a lot of quirky touches to their products and their packaging, and it basically says, "Keep me." I think this is a reference to Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, where basically, she got some sort of food item and it said "Eat me" on it. So this is "Keep me." I say "Keep me" presumably because they've got the details of Penhaligon's on the back, their phone number and their website. Penhaligon's London. They were founded in 1870 in London, and this is the bottle. Penhaligon's often have this sort of cap here which has ribbons, or in this occasion a bow tie attached to the top, and it's a pretty good bottle. Again, nothing outstanding in terms of design, but very elegant, and the bow tie adds a nice quirky edge to this. The reason there's a bow tie on this fragrance is because, as the name suggests actually, Sartorial, the fragrance was sort of inspired by, or meant to recreate, the scent of a tailor's workroom. They did a lot of collaboration with a Savile Row tailor called Norton & Sons. Savile Row is basically, if you don't know, it's like a street in London, famous for bespoke tailoring, using the highest quality materials and techniques which have been set up for hundreds of years now. Selling expensive suits. You're looking at about £3,000 for a bespoke suit, and the fragrance was, Bertrand Duchefort went into Norton & Sons and tried to kind of get an inspiration from all the sort of equipment and the smells in the air which he saw in the tailor's workroom, and he tried to put it into this fragrance. So in terms of what you're getting in terms of notes, I'm basically going to read off the Penhaligon's website actually the whole list of notes here, because there are an abundance of notes in this fragrance. Sometimes I find with fragrances which have so many notes is that it's very difficult to pick up every single note. I only pick up a few, but I'm going to read them all out and then highlight the ones which I pick up. So in terms of top notes, you've got aldehydes, you've got something called ozonic effect. I didn't even bother trying to find out what that even means, it just sounds a bit odd to me. And then you've got something called metallic effect, presumably meant to recreate the smell of shears, or those big scissors which they have to cut the cloth, and hot irons which they have to iron the cloth. You've got violet leaf and neroli, cardamom, black pepper and fresh ginger. Going into the middle notes, you've got beeswax, something called cyclamen and linden blossom, which I've never heard of before, and then lavender and leather. As you come into the base notes, you will come across something called Gurgan wood, something new to me, patchouli, myrrh, cedarwood, tonka bean, oak moss, white musk. Again, they're continuing with this effect. They've got honey effect and old wood effect. vanilla and amber. So it seems like a mixture of synthetic and natural ingredients at the same time. What I get from the top notes, I basically get beeswax and a slight spice to it. It's an interesting top note. Honey is a fragrance which I think, if it's done correctly and slightly understated, is a fragrance that definitely appeals to me. It doesn't become sickly sweet, it doesn't become sort of like a dessert smell, but it's kind of like if you take a block of beeswax and just kind of like, you know, sprinkle some sort of spice on top of that. It says cardamom in the description. Cardamom is actually a very intense and noticeable scent, or you know, if you find it in cardamom fragrance, you'll know about it. And I don't pick up cardamom, but it's definitely a spiciness in there. It's pretty good. It's a really good top note. I've never actually smelled anything like this before in a fragrance. It's quite unique for me anyway. And one thing which I really like about this top note, and it's kind of a good and bad point to be honest, is that it goes on for a long time. I like a fragrance, you know, if I like a scent or a sort of middle, top, base note, if it goes on for a long time, it's a winner in my books. The only problem is with this one is that it goes on for quite a long time. I've worn this fragrance a few times now, and I was wearing it today actually, and I applied about 4 sprays altogether. The sprayer on this is not that generous, so you may have to do about 4 or 5 sprays. And this top note of this honey effect was just coming through, wafting up and lasting for a good few hours. We're talking about 4 or 5 hours here. So that's kind of good, but you kind of want the fragrance to develop at a quicker pace. As you come into the middle notes, what I get is, you know, I mentioned beeswax at the top. And what I really get now is this beeswax is now starting to melt a little bit and become a little bit more warmer. Imagine if you were to warm up honey mixed in with your breakfast or something, or if you were to put honey into hot water, boiling water, as a drink. It's kind of like that, but again, it never becomes sickly sweet. And I sort of to get this sort of like this sort of earthy scent. Oak moss is actually what I got, and I was pretty sure it was oak moss, and it definitely is, because I read the description of the fragrance today, and it's not too intense. It's not like walking through like a forest or walking past a tree and smelling that wet oak moss there, but it gives a nice earthy quality to the fragrance. The beeswax is intended because when a tailor stitches the garments, he runs beeswax through the thread. So that's kind of like a reference to you know, the inspiration behind the fragrance. And oak moss adds a nice masculine edge to the fragrance, and I definitely think this is a masculine fragrance. As the scent as the scent dries down, and this scent does go on for quite a long time. You're getting 8 to 10 hours on me. Again, it continues with this sweetness, but nothing too much. You get a sort of vanilla in there, and to be honest, I like it, but it's too much sweetness going on in there, you know. You've got the beeswax, you've got the honey, and now you've got a vanilla as well. I like it, but I would like it to go off on a different path. Maybe the spice could have been just taken up a notch, and made it into something really, really interesting. But one thing which this fragrance really does well is it kind of has a nice, sweet, woody finish to the fragrance. In many ways, it's quite simple, but it's just well done. It's just really well done fragrance. I really like it. There are a hell of a lot of notes in here, and it would be interesting to hear other people's views on this fragrance, because there are so many notes in here, and I don't pick up all of them. I just pick up, you know, the sweetness and the woods and the oak moss. That's kind of what I get. I really enjoy this fragrance. I'm going to give it a 7.5 rating. It's not one of the best fragrances I've tried, but definitely a really nice fragrance and definitely worth buying. Penhaligons, you know, they retail for around £80 for 100 milliliter, and I think about 58. Yeah, I'm just on the website now. Actually, it's about £58 for a 50 ml. So definitely worth checking out, and definitely worth checking out the range from Penhaligons. So that's my video. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.